Hello, this is Stuart from Hear Me See Me podcast, and this is our first podcast on the new Zoom format. So hopefully we're going to get the YouTube going and you'll be able to watch us as well as listen to us. And today's guest is a wonderful woman, Jane Defrancesco, who is our team leader for Haircuts4Homeless Birmingham. Hello, Jane.
Hello, Stuart.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, we recently joined you, didn't we, for our first project again after the pandemic. So,
yeah,
I mean, it was lovely to see everyone and to be back at the wonderful City Road mission.
yeah.
How was it for you?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was. I keep in touch with the centre all during lockdown because Paul actually managed to keep the centre open during lockdown. And the men were dealt with and looked after, but so many of them had spent so much time alone. And when I was chatting to them, that was the biggest thing that came out, was that they were lonely, really lonely, even the ones that had been found, accommodation. So it was really just lovely to see them all again, and I think they were very excited to see us too.
Well, Jane, tell me, like, before we talk more about that, go back to, like, I don't know how far back, I'll be a gentleman, but let's go back to what took you into hairdressing?
Oh, that's a very strange tale. I've been in hairdressing 45 years, and I went home one day and told my dad that I was thinking sort of looking at university. That was something that was nothing in my family. Nobody went to university in my family. I come from a very working class Birmingham background, and people worked in factories, and university was something nobody ever talked about. And my father told me the only university I needed to go to was the University of Life. So that was my education cut short. I left school at 16, and I am passionate about horses. I've ridden horses most of my life. That sort of goes against my Birmingham background, because again, I come from a very city-focused family with no horsey farming kind of background. But the greatest connection my dad had with horses was the bookies. And when I was 11, 12, he came back from the races very, very drunk. And my mother had to put him to bed, and while she was doing that, found his pockets stuffed full of money, absolutely rammed full of money. And he had a good win at the races, and with that money they bought me my first pony. Oh. So that was my passion, and I went all through the pony club, and it opened a completely new world to me. So when I wanted to leave school, it was either university or work with horses, and my father didn't approve of either. So by the time September came, I left school in the June, September came, he came home and he said, if you think that you're going to sit around for the rest of your life doing nothing, you've got another thing coming. And my mate, Tommy Webb, has got a big salon in Solihull, and they're desperate for staff for the Christmas. And Monday morning, I found myself in a hairdressing salon in a place called Solihull, which for those from the West Midlands know, it's a very affluent, very toffee-nosed area. And I just had a complete culture shock. Here I was, this Birmingham kid in the middle of this very posh, highbrow hairdressing salon, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it.
I wasn't love at first sight then.
Absolutely not. And of course, being the newbie and the temp as well for the Christmas period, I had a very strange relationship with a hot point twin tub that I had to wash all the towels every Saturday afternoon on my own, and with the old mangle and lifting it out and putting it in the spinner and all that sort of thing. And I thought, people do this for the rest of their lives? There was no way I wanted to do it. And it's just fate, isn't it, Stuart, really? I mean, sometimes life just brings you to a crossroads. And after the New Year's rush, I left, and thank God to leave, because I didn't want to be there. But they phoned me back in the January and offered me an apprenticeship. And my father, being old school and you know, in trade, said an apprenticeship will set you up for life. You do this 5-year indentured apprenticeship, and if you still want to go and shovel muck in horses' stables, you can do it with my blessing, but only if you've got a trade behind you. And the rest, they say, is history, because it's been a real love affair. I absolutely fell in love with it, and I've never regretted a day from that day.
No, it's an amazing industry, isn't it? You know,
yeah,
like, yeah.
Oh yeah, amazing, and full of amazing people, and yeah, I don't regret it at all, and it's given me a fantastic life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You first reached out to me, I think via email, or I can't remember. My brain isn't that great anymore. But you were already you was already working with the homeless, weren't you? You was already doing the street delivery. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So you know, going on, fast forward, after my children had all grown up and left home, and I'm sure a lot of mums that might be out there listening to this can relate to this. All of a sudden, I wasn't quite needed as I had been. And I'd always had an affinity with the homeless. I'd always, my kids will tell you, I was always giving people cups of coffee in doorways and talking to people, and just generally, I mean, I grew up, as I say, in Birmingham with a coal fire, no central heating. I used to put my school uniform on under my blankets in bed because it was too cold to get out and get dressed in the morning. So I did have an affinity with the homeless. And so for a couple of years, I worked with a church organisation through the church my husband went to, called St Vincent de Paul, and we used to do a soup kitchen in Birmingham, and take food out on the street. And then they folded up for varying reasons. And I reached out to an organisation called Help the Homeless in Birmingham, which were a face group. I found them on face group. And I just started to go out with them. And I liken outreach, that's what we call it when we go on the street, to almost like the front line. You know, when refugees arrive in England, and it's their first port of call is to feed them and to clothe them and to just look after them. And that's what outreach is all about. It's the first line. And I love doing that. I love engaging with the guys on the street and chatting and listening to their stories. And as hairdressers, you know, we're quite good at sort of just starting up conversations and listening. And then I got involved with Paul, that runs the centre where we do our Haircuts for Homeless, because he was running the centre and trying to liaise with all the outreach teams so that he was connecting with us, making sure we were okay, making sure that we weren't overlapping, just trying to really coordinate all the teams out there. And I started to connect with him. Then I went up to the centre to see what he was doing. And around about that time, you were sort of doing Haircuts for Homeless. I was seeing stuff on social media and in the industry of some of the stuff that you were starting off and doing. And I just knew that the centre that Paul had got would just be an ideal situation for us to do. And so, yeah, I think I messaged you, and I think it was ages and ages before you got back to me.
There's a real theme going on about.
So yeah, but I kept going. I kept messaging you, and I kept going, and eventually, yeah, we did manage to get together, and spoke to Paul about it and said, would he think it was the kind of service that some of his people would like? And he was on board straight away. He's you know, it's all about giving these guys a homely atmosphere, a sense of pride in themselves, and that just linked into what he was trying to do beautifully. So yeah, and that's when we we eventually got you into Birmingham, and we
Yes.
set up Haircuts for Homeless Birmingham. So about 3 years ago now, I think.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, yeah. And it's testament to Paul and the centre that it's still going strong, even.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Absolutely.
lucky enough to have Paul's going to come on the podcast as well, so he's going to tell us about his work.
Yeah, he's got an incredible backstory as well. So I'm not.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not saying too much about that, because it'll be a really, really good and interesting podcast with him. He's an amazing guy.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's not. It's the obvious thing that links us all is our love for doing this, but the story generally is about what is about us and our life that draws us into it, you know, like, and why are we connected and why do we do these things? And it sounds like your upbringing gave you, because it gave you the affinity with people who've not got everything, you know.
Yeah. Well, as I say, when I first arrived in Solihull, I mean, I just couldn't believe that people existed like that. I couldn't believe the size of the houses. I couldn't believe the kind of cars they were driving. It was just, you know, it's ironic, isn't it? Because I live there now.
Oh, you posh girl, you.
Oh, I know.
Oh, you're so posh.
I've gone right posh, I have. But yeah, it's mad, really. But it was really a big learning curve for me, because I didn't realise that there were people that were so affluent, and it really, you know, and even more so over the last 45 years, the thems that have and the thems that has not has got wider, in my estimation. You know, so yeah, I mean, Solihull's been fantastic for me, because it's given me a living. You know, that's where I've made my living, you know, so and that's where I live myself now. But you know, you don't forget your roots, Stuart. You never forget your roots.
No, and yours are looking great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You didn't tell me I was being filmed. It's a good job I did them the other day.
I mean, talking about that, I mean, I've noticed it a lot, and I think there's a real balance between, I think it's such a positive thing for people to get on in life, to be motivated to get on.
Yeah.
However, having said that, then it's been aware of that other people haven't got those circumstances. But with it, I don't know, it's that balance, isn't it? It's finding the balance all the time, you know.
Yeah. It is the balance. It is. It's you've got to look. Everybody aspires to do better. Everybody aspires to achieve more for their families than what they had themselves. I mean, you know, my whole drive and purpose in life is to give my 3 children a better life than I had myself. And you know, and you work hard, and with working hard and making money and having a successful business, it does enable you to have better things, nicer things, you know, and a better standard of living. But you must never forget your roots. Keep your feet well on the ground, and understand that if it wasn't for that moment in time that Peter Webb, who was an amazing hairdresser. I mean, his father was the manager of the British World Cup team for years, and he was a global ambassador for Schwarzkopf, and we did shows. And, you know, I've had a fantastic sort of life in the hairdressing industry. It's realising that if I had turned that job down, where would I have been? Where would I, you know, I might not be in Solihull, you know, and that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. No. But, you know, life gives you these twists and turns, and it's just about taking them, and be aspirational, but never forget who you are.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, because I was just going to say that, you know, it's so easy for any of us to take that wrong turn, and a couple of things happen, and we can be in the situation that the guys that we're dealing with are in. Yeah. It's so easy. So easy.
I mean, that's my thing. I mean, mine obviously is, as you know, like, I was very close to it myself. And it's only, you know, by the grace of God that I changed my life around, you know, like but it could have so easily gone the other way. And when I'm when I'm with those guys that we see, it's looking at myself. It's looking
Yeah.
at my other slide. You said about a sliding doors moment, and I see my other path that it would have been, so easy for me. And so many people, I meet people, and you do as well, that they're not the stereotypical homeless person. They've come from a great job or great background, and it's just a couple of little like knocks have took them all the way down very quickly. Have you found that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've known people that have had, £1 million hairdressing salons 1 minute, and the next minute they've got nothing. And it can happen to anybody, and it can be caused through bad luck, or of course, addiction is a big thing. But you only get addicted because you've had bad luck, and it's that sort of vicious circle. And addiction is a massive thing. And it's unless you've been in the throes of addiction or know somebody really close to you that's had problems with addiction to anything, you don't really understand what a grip it has on people and how it influences their lives, because we're very quick to judge, aren't we, as human beings? We're very quick to, oh well, he should have done that, and well, they shouldn't do this, or they should have stopped drinking, or they should have stopped taking the drugs. But it's easier said than done, and we have to try and understand what led these people to this situation, really. And that's why when you're cutting their hair, as all the hairdressers out there know, there's something about hairdressers, because they just open up. And sometimes you can just hit on a tiny little thing that will just give you that glimmer of hope, that you think, this person's got a chance now. Now we can run with it. Now we can help them see the right people, talk to the right people, and all they need is that chance, that teeny weeny little chance. And it's just being receptive to it and opening yourself up to it. And I think hairdressers are incredible at doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing it all the time.
That's my experience, that people, they're so nervous about joining us. And when they just fall into it, they're such natural communicators. That very rarely, I get the very tiny percentage who try it with us once and then say it's not really for me. And I love that, it's great that they realise that and then don't make themselves do it. But it's a tiny minority. Hairdressers in general are perfect for this type of work.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we're incredible human beings, really. I think we are, anyway. We're compassionate. We're understanding. We listen. We've got a lot of skills that we don't actually tap ourselves on the back for. And I think through lockdown, it has really shown, I can't bear it when people say, oh, I'm just a hairdresser. Really? Because there's so many more facets to being what we are. And we've proven through lockdown that everybody, no matter where you stood, queuing in the supermarket, queuing outside the post office, everybody was saying, I can't wait till I see my hairdresser. Oh, I can't wait. I've got an appointment. Have you got an appointment? No, I haven't got them. And all the conversations were about hairdressers.
Yeah.
And it's not just about having your hair done. Yeah, you need your roots doing. Yes, you need your haircut. But it's that connection. Some of my older clients in their 80s and 90s, I'm the only person they see all week. And so, they pour it all, they want to talk because they haven't spoken to anybody all week. So we do an incredible community service. Absolutely incredibly. And if only we get paid the same as the therapists.
Yeah, there's that old meme, isn't there? Go to your hairdresser, the cheapest therapy you'll find.
Absolutely. But it's very true, and we're perfect. We're perfect for it, most definitely.
I mean, we, as I've often said, we always take someone home with us from the sessions. Has there been anyone that that sticks in your mind? I know we never mention names and things.
No.
But there are so many stories. Is there any that's connected to you?
I suppose the one lad who is always waiting in the queue when we get to the centre. He's always first in the queue, and he won't let anybody else cut his hair but me. And he hasn't really got an awful lot of hair to cut, but he's always there. And he's just a lost soul. All he wants is somebody to love and somebody to love him back. And he reminds me, you know, of so much of one of my sons. I just want to hug him and tell him it's all right, that, you know, he struggles with a crack cocaine addiction. He's not seen his children for years. He's been estranged from his ex-wife. He's been in and out of prison and all the rest of it. But we can have some quite meaningful conversations, he and I. He's not a silly guy at all. In fact, he's quite intelligent. And we've talked about, you know, the COVID situation. We've talked about Trump. We've talked about Boris. We've talked about quite sort of like current events, and he's got quite a lot to bring to the table when you're talking to him. But it's just this addiction just pulls him back every so often, and I don't know whether he'll ever get out of it. But I just like to think that sometimes when we're just chatting and he promises me that he's not going to do this and he's not going to do that for a while, and I don't know, I just got a bit of an affinity with him, really. And yeah. I just try and help him every time I sort of, every 6 weeks when I connect with him, I just try and keep everything he does positive. I really boost him up because I need him to feel that there's somebody out there rooting for him in a way, really.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's quite so, it's so important, you know?
Yeah.
When you're in those positions, to feel like someone's on your side.
Yeah.
You know, I was lucky, you know, like I still had my family. I had people around me that were doing that, and in spite of that, you still sabotage.
Yeah,
you know, that's a frustrating thing of people, and you'll see the guy. Don't stop you loving him, like don't stop you showing him human love, because that's what that is what you're giving him. You know,
yeah.
There's no two ways about it. You're not just taking an interest; you're showing him human love, and I think that's so important. People understand. You know, when we say it's more than just a haircut, and that's because we're showing people this love.
Because they feel so alone in the world. You know, if you've sat in a doorway for the best part of 5 years on and off, and nobody has, you know, bothered. Somebody might give you some food, somebody might buy you a sandwich, somebody might give you a cigarette or whatever, but it's by going to the centre and coming every 6 weeks to have their haircuts, it's a bit like our clients in the salon. They're actually starting to connect. And then when you see them 6 weeks down the road, you ask them how their kids are, or how this is, you know, and you do the same with the homeless guys. How have you got on in the last 6 weeks? What you've been up to, and anything positive they do, and then Paul will help them and get them on the benefits, or get them on and they're so proud when they've moved a step forward, you know, and you can praise them up and encourage them, and it's just, they want to tell you. They're coming in, they sit down, they're having a haircut, but they want to tell you what's happened over the last 6 weeks, because they know you're interested, because they know you care. You know,
I think we saw that when we first go back, like when we first went back to Birmingham, when I'm going back to places for the first time, it's the welcome we're receiving. I mean, literally, I'm nearly in tears sometimes. And you know, I recently had it at St James's in London, and this guy, Mike, it just like blew me away. You know, so pleased, genuinely pleased to see me. You know, like it does us so much good, doesn't it?
Oh, I tell you what, we probably get more out of it than they do. Because I come out of there buzzing. I buzz for the whole day. I do. I come out of there buzzing, because it's just so uplifting and so rewarding. And as you say, that, you know, but like our customers in the salon, they love to see us. Just because they're homeless, it doesn't make them any different. You know, they're just as happy to see us, whether they're homeless or not.
Yeah, and I think that's a crucial thing that I mean, it's difficult at the moment. It's a challenge, but we've always wanted to make it the same as the salon experience as much as possible. And that's why before lockdown, you know, we didn't used to wear gloves, and we, you know, it was so much trying to have that human contact.
Yeah.
Obviously now we've had to change, and we're being safer than safe, and we're looked at, you know, so I make sure as much as we can we go over and above so that we can keep going out there.
Oh yeah, I must admit I felt very, very safe when we went back. Yes, it's a pain wearing all the PPE. I mean, you know, people in salons are struggling all over. But I just, when I'm feeling a bit down about it, whether I'm in the salon or in the centre, or, you know, just generally trying to work with all this PPE on, I just keep thinking, the nurses did it. Yeah. The nurses did it. Come on, the nurses did it. Because, you know, when you look at some of those surgeons and some of those nurses, I've got a client who's an intensive care nurse at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, which is one of the biggest hospitals. And some of the stories that she's told me about them having black eyes from the goggles and rashes from the masks. And I think, come on, people, you know, we're not doing anywhere near the hours that they're having to do. Yeah. So it is what it is. And we just have to adapt and get on. And you know what? The hairdressing industry is great at adapting. It's great at dealing with, because we're dealing with people and situations all the time. And I think, you know, I just miss giving them all a hug, but because I'm a hugger.
Me too.
Yeah, you know, I'm a bit of a hugger, so I find that really, really, really difficult. But I think the men, I don't know what the impression you got when you were at the centre, but I found the men were very respectful. They queued up to come in. They were all happy. Nobody complained about wearing a mask. They sat while we dressed them all in their disposable gowns, and you know, they were so pleased just for us to be there, that they didn't jeopardize anything that we were trying to do, and we're very supportive. And I was quite humbled by that, really. I was quite humbled.
Me too. I've got to give ultimate praise to Paul and his team, because they've instilled such a great atmosphere in there. And as you say, you know, it was responsibility. I think that's the thing. This is what we need from, you know, if we can continue to work, we need responsibility from the centres and the people running it and our teams, because we just want to keep doing it. You know, it's not like, you know, we're a little bit rebellious hairdressers and we, you know, I don't want to do this, I don't want that. But we really, you know, it's a matter of, it's crucial, because without it, we're not going to be able to go. And Birmingham was you know, that centre was a great example of keeping us safe and enabling us to do our work.
Yeah, because they so desperately want us there. I think Paul can see the benefit that the Haircuts for Homeless is doing for his guys. I mean, they'll message me a week before, are you still coming? And yeah, fine, because the men are obviously already asking, you know, is Jane and the girls coming? Are they coming? And so, and it just gives them this sense of community, this sense of family, really. That's what Paul's trying to create in the centre, is a family atmosphere. And I think he does very well at achieving what he does.
Incredibly, yeah.
And there's a lot of respect for him as well, because he doesn't stand for any nonsense, and he's had some pretty, I won't say too much, but pretty bad situations at times, because dealing with these people, it can be quite volatile at times. But there is enormous respect for him, and that's why I think the centre runs so well. And they're very respectful to us as well as a team. You know, they know that we're coming in to do this for them. And, you know, if they don't behave, if they don't respond in a certain way, then we're going to be stopped. And they so desperately want us to be there that, you know, they go out of their way to make sure that, you know, we're okay.
I mean, my sister Belinda was with us, and she, you know, I'll give her a big shout out, Belinda, because she's...
Yeah, Belinda's great. Hi.
Yeah, hello, Belinda. She's actually become the hardest working in a way, because it used to be she was in the background, and now she's the one at the beginning with the COVID form and the temperature gun and the
Yeah.
the gowns. And she's actually now that us, especially, that was great. That was 4 of us there, lovely big space, so we could have 4 of us working. And but she's like really running around, and she now every project now needs a Belinda, doesn't they, to do that stuff at the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm lucky in Paul's situation. He's got quite a few volunteers that, you know, we could sort of draw on somebody else. But Belinda did a great job, because we were all a bit nervous, all a bit unsure of how it was going to pan out. I think the guys were even nervous, because they were desperately wanting to come in and get their hair cut, but you know, they've been told they've got to wait and they've got to do this. So everybody was a little bit nervous and a little bit unsure. But I mean, once they started coming in and Belinda was, you know, sending them down to get their hairs cut, it ran like clockwork, didn't it? It was really good.
Yeah, and
really good session.
We obviously, me and Belinda get in the car after and we have a chat, and it was one of those that instantly we both said, it's going to be fine. That one's going to be fine, you know, and because we have to be there in person. It's almost like starting from scratch, that we've got to go and open every single one. And there's some that, like yours, we feel absolutely 100% confident it's going to run exactly as it should. Some there's like we think we might have to sort of get back there and make sure. And it's not because people don't want to. Some people, I don't know, they're just not as organised or so a lot of it's the centres, you know, like some of the centres are more supportive than others, and to the point where our things are at the moment, if the centre isn't supporting us, we've got to pull out. You know, there's been a couple recently, and we said, look, we can't go back there, because without us, we can maintain it, but we can't trust that our team are going to be looked after. You know. I totally get that, because that was one of my first things when I spoke to Paul about it. I said, you know, if I'm going to be talking, if I'm going to get these hairdressers to come with me, I mean, look, I've got experience with homeless people. I've done it for a long time, so I've seen it all. I've broke up fights. I've got in the thick of it when it's all kicking off, and you know, and I've dealt with people that are spaced out on stuff, and you know, but not everybody has been exposed to that, and people are apprehensive about coming. And I said to Paul, you know, I've got to guarantee the safety of these people. You know, I'm bringing them into the centre. They're helping me do something. And I've promised them that they will be safe. And I have had girls sat in the car outside, scared to go in, because it's the fear of the new, you know, they don't know what to expect. But I try and brief them as best as I can, the new volunteers, and you know, but I know that Paul totally supports us and has always got our back. If something, you know, happens, he's got our back. We're put in a position where we're out of the way, and he deals with what is going on. So yeah, I feel 100% safe going in there, and I totally trust them all. Well, that's an advert now for we're getting quite a lot of centres contacting us at the moment.
Okay.
And, so listen to this if you're listening. This is what you've got to do. You know, like if you want us to, we'll go. But if you want us to come back, this is the type of thing we need, and the support.
Yeah, you have got to show your support, and you've got to make people feel safe, because people are doing this on their day off. Some people are actually having a day off extra just to come and do it. So if they're putting themselves out to that extent, you've just got to support them and you know, keep them safe. That's the main thing, because when you do work with homeless people a lot, it almost becomes, how can I say, if it kicks off, then you're not that worried about it, because it's not normal, but you've seen it before. But if you're somebody that has never been in that situation, has never dealt with somebody that's off on substances, or you know, got an anger management problem or whatever, you just don't know how to react to all that. So this is where the centre and Paul and his volunteers come into effect. They leave us alone to do the haircuts, but they're always watching. Yeah. I know he never leaves us. He might not be in the room, but he ain't left us. No. He knows what's going on. And this is, you know, what you've got to be aware of. And some centres, in all fairness, there's a huge centre in the middle of Birmingham, which I did look at initially, but it is so busy. And they've got so much going on there that there's no way you can contain situations. And I thought, no, that's not going to be the right place, because they just won't have the people and the wherefore to keep us safe if we needed to. So yeah,
it's an instinct thing, isn't it? I mean, me and to one recently in London, and you know, just if I didn't feel comfortable, there's no way I'm going to let a team go in there, you know.
No,
so,
you can't.
You know, that's another one. But we give everyone a chance, and we've got. Sorry.
I was just going to say, they're volunteers. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, you know, and you can't put them in positions that are going to make them feel uncomfortable or vulnerable or just even uneasy. They've got to feel happy.
I think to clarify as well that even though these things do happen, they're quite far between, aren't they?
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. You know, I don't want to give the impression that it's kicking off every 5 minutes. No. I mean, it's you know, you can go, oh, I think we've only ever, in the 3 years we've been at Paul's, we've only had one real incident. I see more of it on the streets when I'm doing outreach, because you're in a different environment. You're on their patch on the street. You know what I mean? That's their patch. And they don't have to respect you at all, because you should be respecting them. You know what I mean? Because the dynamic is different. No, it's very, very few and far between. Very few and far between. And you've got to, you've got to keep that in perspective. But you've also, as a team leader, I feel that if I'm taking these people into the centres, I have to know that the centre is completely, it got my back and my team. Otherwise I couldn't take people in there. I wouldn't feel I was doing the right thing.
What's been a big help for us, because obviously, like, and this is why we take a long time to get back to people, there still is only me and Belinda doing these things, and we get all these inquiries and that. I think it was, I don't know what's happening this, I think it was early this year, it was, that L'Oreal, we went to L'Oreal and they made us some videos, right, to do some face to camera videos.
Okay.
They were so painful that they've cut bits out and put pictures in instead, because I can talk like this but not to a script, you know what I mean? It was funny. But we've got some great videos now. I'll send them to you as well.
Oh, okay.
And there's a video that Belinda can now send a link to an email, and it's before we get into it, can you please watch this? And it's only a minute, you know, but we've got them for the centres and things like that. So we can lay out on this video, look, we expect you to, we'll do this, this and this, and we expect you to do this, this and this. And that really helps, because otherwise you're talking about 10 or 12 back and forth emails just by them watching this video. So that, and we've got one for a volunteer. So if you get any inquiries outside of Belinda, we'll send you the video. You can just send them the link. It makes it easy.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea. That's a really good, because I went out to India 3 years running with Schwarzkopf with their Shaping Futures program.
Yeah, great.
And they do a lot of that, you know, because you get a lot of hairdressers say, oh, that's an amazing thing to do, I want to do it. And then once they start to show you the videos and give you a little bit of insight into it, it's amazing how many people think, maybe not, for varying reasons. And so it sort of filters out really the people that like the idea of it, but not necessarily for varying reasons can't do it, or it doesn't fit in with their life or whatever it is, but it gives them a little insight. So it stops them from taking that further step. And then you haven't got to deal with quite so many inquiries, because they've already made their mind up after watching it that it's not for them, because it isn't for everybody.
It's been a great tool for us. You know, we're really grateful for it.
It will be a brilliant.
L'Oreal was very generous of L'Oreal to do it for us, because we went and done it. It's all been done properly and put together properly.
Yeah.
We used Jack Eames. These are like, a lot of these are Jack Eames pictures, and he's done a lot of photographs for the British awards and things for different hairdressers. He's a great photographer, lovely man. He's been on the podcast. He's a really lovely fella, and he comes and spends his own time, and it's out of his own pocket to do our photos. But they create such strong images.
Yes.
You know, and that's the thing. And we sometimes get people saying, I don't think it's right, you're taking pictures of people and that. But it's such a powerful story message, you know, a story giver, like an image, you know, that really connects with people, you know, like to give us the message to come and join us.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, it does. It does. The pictures are amazing, particularly some of the before and afters, and yeah, it is amazing. It's really strange how some people do find it quite offensive, though, that we would want to put pictures. And I had one person, well, I think I called you about it. One person really attacked me on social media because they'd got the logo on the front of the gown.
Yeah,
and like we were labeling them as something, and I couldn't quite grasp where that person was coming from. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, you know, but that was quite a hard one for me. That because that's the last thing I'd want to do is offend anybody or label anybody. But you have to understand that people do have different takes on things, so it's quite hard, isn't it, to sort of what you put out there and what you don't, because you just don't know how people are going to react. But I just think sometimes just getting some of those pictures where we're looking down into the eyes or the face of the person and they're looking back at us, it speaks volumes, really.
I think so. And I think my defense is to it that, you know, that I've had things about the name. But I say to people, when I first started doing this and I thought it might be a thing, I didn't think it'd be a big thing. So I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the name. There was, do you know what I mean? I mean, you can tell it hadn't got a lot of thought behind it. It's just Haircuts for Homeless. And I put the number 4 in. That's given me nightmares because I always have to say, look, don't put FOR, put 4. So if I'd have thought and put any time into that, I would have done. But the logo is sort of like, and the branding, I think what that does, what's important, it gives us a professional look, that we've got the sort of corporate branding now, as we are, because you know, it took us a long time to become a registered charity, taken seriously. So it gives us that feel, professionalism. And also I think that the teams feel more part of it when we've all got the T-shirt and the gowns. It's a big thing of feeling part of something for the volunteers.
Most definitely, most definitely. It gives you an identity. And the thing is, it's grown organically, hasn't it, Stuart? I mean, it was strange that you were saying that, you know, you watched this guy in New York cutting hair on the street. Well, I watched the same guy, and I was the same as you, thinking, well, this is something we could do. And I was already working with the homeless then, but knew that actually cutting hair on the street would cause a lot of problems, because we know from outreach, if we stay around in one place for too long, things can develop. Whereas if you're constantly moving through, do you see what I mean? So it went through my head. So when you were talking about it, I was thinking, well, you know, yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah. That's something as hairdressers we can do for these people. And it just took one person, and it happened to be yourself, to run with it, but it's grown organically. And I think the simplicity of the logo, because it does what it says on the tin. Yeah. You know, it's Haircuts4Homeless. You can't dress it up any other way. Yeah. And it shouldn't be dressed up, because it is what it is. Yeah. And then the logo actually was, we used to have this diamond thing that I'd done on Vistaprint, because I just done it myself. And it was just the stock logo thing, and I stuck the name in. But then I had a young guy, Alex, who done us a very early doors, like a couple of years in, he was studying for his degree, and he done us a great video about it all. And I think it's on YouTube, and that he really did a great job of it. Very insightful for a young man, you know. Yes. And his girlfriend at the time was doing design. So she did this for us, and you know, she just said, "Oh, look, I've done this. I don't know if you want to use it." And it was this sort of
half a house, as if it's that half a house, and it's so strong, and
Yes.
you know, she just gave it to us, and
Oh,
yeah, so thank you, but it's really stuck with
bless
it.
you. Yeah. But the simplest things I always think are the strongest. You try and get too clever about marketing and branding and all the rest of it, you almost lose the whole point of it. Do you know what I mean? So I think, but I feel very proud, Stuart, extremely proud on that Tuesday mornings when I put my black and white t-shirt on and I'm part of this, and it makes me feel, and now we all connect. And I mean, it would be quite nice in the future to sort of perhaps connect with other teams and come together at some time and talk about different centres. And do you know what I mean? Just meet other volunteers that, you know, from other parts of the country. But you do feel that you're part of something rather than you just going with a group of people to cut hair. And it's about being part of a community, really.
Oh, Jane, that you just brought tears in my eyes. That
Stuart, sorry.
You made all the hairs on my arm stand up, because it was like, when you said that about putting the t-shirt on, that's really, you know, like, it's just lovely that you said that. And you know, it's been a long road, you know, like 6 years next month. You know, and we was flying on the crest of a wave, you know, like this year, and to sort of have to sort of go back and build it all up. But you saying things like that, it's really something special. And I keep getting told about all this as if I've done this great thing. As you said, it is organic, because it goes back to the sliding doors again, because I saw it as you saw it. But I was doing a lot of work around my recovery, and I was in the Salvation every Monday, giving out talks with a couple of other guys, and we was doing this weekly talk. And then, you know, it's that catalyst, you know, Mark Bustos put that stuff on. I thought, great, but I didn't. I think if I'd have gone out in the street and done it, I don't think it would have lasted long for me.
No.
But because I was at the Sally Army, I thought, I'll just go there and do it. And then it worked so well within a centre that became our pilot and our format. Now we're just a bolt on for any centres around the UK. We've got so many more to do that we've worked it out now, and the format works really well. We don't mess with it too much now. We've had to adapt, but you know, and there's so much further for us to go.
Most definitely. And I think growing organically like that is so much will be its secret of its longevity, if you know what I mean. Because something it's just slowly grown and developed, and it will be here for a long time. It will. You know what I mean? Whereas if you go in all the razzmatazz and you have all the, as I say, try and do it to how can I say, professionally from the beginning, it's here one day and gone tomorrow.
And I think you said that earlier about it, the thing that the guys, going back to them, because it's all about them, is that they need that consistency.
Absolutely.
That's the real thing. You know, you don't make those connections like you do with that lad you talked about. You don't do that on a one-off. You know, so these big events and one-off events, they're okay, they serve a purpose, but it's not what we're about. We want longevity and building relationships with people.
It is about building connections and relationships, and these guys, you know, so when they talk to you, there's so many people that have come into their lives that have let them down. Promised them everything and totally let them down. And we are there every 6 weeks. I'll see you in 6 weeks and I'm there. You know, I'll see you in 6 weeks and I'm there. And I'd have to be dying not to be there. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that if I didn't go, then I'm another person that's let them down. We're another organisation that was talk, but we never saw it through. And that's where you you can't let them down, because they've been let down all their lives, really, through one thing and another.
This that you brought up such a great point there, because this, I mean, we've had our failures as well as our successes, and we've got 67 sites that we're at the moment trying to get back going, but there have been ones that have started and stopped, and it breaks my heart. But I had to let go, because I realised I can't control. I can get them in place, but I can't control it after that. But what I don't like is the fact that we are another one of those, that we turned up and we left, and I really, we mustn't mess about with people's lives. So if you're going to be doing it, like, please look long term.
Yeah. And it's, as I say, a lot of people like the sound of it. And it is lovely, the volunteering, but you have got to have a certain amount of commitment to it, because, as you say, you owe it to these fellas to just keep that continuity going, that consistency going, because you might be the only consistent thing that they've got.
Yeah, often cases that you find out once you start speaking that you are one of the only ones that they've consistently got. Yeah.
So it's great. It fills me up. It just fills me, and it's an incredible organisation, and I'm very, very proud to be part of it.
Well, I think that sounds like an exit speech. That's a real good outro. I can't sum it up better than that. So yeah, first one done. Video. Sorry to not give you time to put your makeup on, but
I know I'm not. I could have got all dressed up and looked like a glamorous hairdresser, but you know
it would
what?
Have been you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because it's all about the guys, and it's all about the charity, and I just want to say before we do leave that we are looking for volunteers for the Birmingham branch. We've had a few people, due to COVID, that have had to change their businesses, the way they run their businesses, and therefore haven't got quite as much time or free time that they had before. I want to shout out a big thank you to all the people that have supported me. But we do need a few more volunteers in the Birmingham area, and they can get in touch with me on Facebook or yourself, and Belinda will contact me with anybody.
Yeah, I think she's already got a few ready to send.
Yeah. I followed a couple up this week, so hopefully that we'll keep bringing them through.
It won't take her long.
No.
Anyway, thanks so much for your time today, Jane.
You're very, very welcome. It was lovely actually to have a conversation, because we don't get time to talk, do we? Because we're too busy cutting hair and doing what we do. So it's really nice to have a conversation just one-to-one.
Well, sort of. There's a few other people. Might be one. We don't know. We'll see if anyone listens.
There's nobody out there, really. We're just talking to ourselves.
Well, we've enjoyed it, so there's nothing lost.
Of course we have.
Thanks a lot, Jane.
Thank you, Stuart. God bless you. Bye.
And you.